Hey guys, welcome to another episode of ASM Scholarships podcast. Today I am joined by the wonderful Molly.
Hi there, thank you for having me.
No, please, thank you for coming in today and just going to share your story. It's going to be awesome. So, Molly, you're from America.
Yes.
And you did equestrian in college, right?
Correct.
So we're going to talk all about equestrian, horses, what's it like, collegiate experiences.
My favorite subject.
Awesome. I know we've just been chatting off the camera, but
Yeah.
definitely some really interesting stuff. So I'm really excited for this episode, especially if you're from overseas or American and you're looking at maybe riding in college one day. So let's back up a bit and talk about you maybe in your high school days. Why did you want to maybe go into the riding field, equestrian field in college? What made you kind of want to do that?
Sure. So horses, equestrian riding for me, my entire life has been something that I've always wanted to do, and it was sort of, it's in your blood. I think when horses are part of you, you can't ever really get out of it.
Yeah.
And since I was a very young age, all I wanted to do was ride, and I knew from day one that I wanted to compete on a team in college, and I also wanted to study equestrian studies in school. So that kind of narrowed down my search quite a bit when I was thinking about it in high school and the decision of where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was never a question. I just knew that's what I wanted to do and set out to do it.
Yeah, and you ended up at this school here, so at SCAD, right? And that's in Georgia, Savannah?
Correct, Savannah, Georgia,
Yeah.
Savannah College of Art and Design.
And if you can see, I'm going to put some pictures on our Instagram later, but it looks amazing.
It is.
The facilities.
It's beautiful.
And your horse is still there.
She is, yes. Yeah, I feel honored and fortunate that I was able to compete on that team with SCAD, bring my horse, and also be an equestrian studies major. Sort of just that triple threat for me, and kind of made my dreams come true. So I'm thankful for that opportunity.
That's awesome. So let's go back then. So you decided you want to ride the equestrian in college, and how did you look for schools? How did you pick the programs that you were looking for? Because I know there's not tons, right? It's not like American football, basketball, and
actually, I would push back on you a little bit about that.
Yeah.
I would say that IHSA, as far as I knew, I wanted to ride on a team. So the Intercollegiate Equestrian Association has over 10,000 riders, and it has over 400 schools that compete.
Okay.
So that is 47 different states, and in Canada have IHSA teams.
Right.
So it's when people say, "Oh, it must be pretty narrow." It's actually not. There's so many more teams out there than people would think, and so many more schools, especially today, than when I was looking back, say 2011, when I was looking at schools. It's expanded so much, and I think there's opportunities at almost all schools now, whether it's more of a club, if they're competing in IHSA, whatever they're doing, there's a lot of different opportunities out there for students. So that's sort of how I looked at it. I started saying, okay, where are the teams that I'd be interested that might be a good fit? What areas of the country do I want to be in? And then I paired it with the equestrian studies. So once I put those three factors in, it narrowed it down to a few more schools for me.
Right.
And then I did some visits. I reached out to coaches, different equestrian, professors and facilitators that I knew had areas that I was interested in, and did site visits. And once I went down to Savannah and visited and talked to the coaches there, I said, this is a perfect fit. I really thought that was where I needed to be. And I made the decision. I did an early decision, ended up riding there all 4 years, and had a wonderful experience.
When you say you did the early decision, were you ahead of the game in terms you started your process super early? You committed early to the school? Yeah, because that's a lot. I see a lot of athletes just doing it way too late, and then they kind of miss out on getting into programs. So it's good. You sound like you knew exactly what you wanted. I knew
exactly what I wanted to do. And then for me too, I brought my own horse to college with me. So that was another factor that I had to put in, because I had to think about her well-being. Where did I want to continue my riding individually with her outside of the team? So that did make it a little bit more of a narrow decision for me, and it was just a perfect fit.
And then I know a misconception is a lot of people think they have to bring their horse to university, but that's not the case though, is it?
It is not the case. It's actually not even part of the intercollegiate riding program. So the whole premise of IHSA and riding in college is not for an individual to be riding their own horse. So they take having your own horse off the table. So all of these teams that are competing in IHSA, they have what they call school horses. So horses that are either donated, they're owned by the school, or they're being leased by the school, or people are just letting the school use their horses. That is the horses that college athletes are riding on. These are their partners. They're the athletes that kind of serve as the vehicle for these riders, so that they can offer even playing fields. And IHSA really wants to make riding affordable to any college student that is interested in the sport. So they open it up to riders that are at the most beginner level, walk trot riders, people that have had less than 6 weeks of professional training, but it's also open to riders that have shown in Grand Prix and maybe are the top 25 riders in the country. They're also able to come here and ride on this team, which I think is something that's really special about riding, because normally when you're riding, it's not a team sport, you know, besides you and your horse. Of course, that's a big team, but you know, you don't go out there and compete with, you know, other, you know, soccer players on your team. You're not worried about, you know, someone else passing the ball to. So IHSA comes in and really makes this a team sport, where someone who's maybe a begin rider is just as important as someone who's an open level rider, who's the top of the top. Everyone's equal here. And I think that's really cool, and being able to, you know, let people experience this sport that sometimes isn't available for everyone.
So why would you bring your own horse then if it doesn't really matter? Because I know you brought yours. So what's the benefit of doing that?
So I individually brought my own horse because I also competed on the A circuits individually. So I continued my competition career outside of riding, so I kind of juggled both as I was competing. So I'd compete for the team, but then also take my horse around to different competitions around the country, competing individually just if I was on my own. So
like, for example, then on a day-to-day lifestyle in college, you're at SCAD now, and what does it look like? Just walk us through what a average day would be like.
So another really cool fact, and what I was kind of appealing to me in my decision when I went to school, is, you know, SCAD is one of the top schools, the top teams they have in the country, but it's because they really treat it's a real sport. We're out there 6 a.m., we're weightlifting, we're running laps, we're doing yoga, we're, you know, in the gym all the time, treated us just as if we're the lacrosse team. We're treated the same way, and we think it's that sort of respect that we're giving the sport is what we get out of it. So we really put a lot of work into it too. So we consider ourselves athletes. Just as I think that sport should be considered. So, you know, you'd wake up, I would work out, say 6 in the morning, go to a 9 a.m. class, I'd go to the barn, ride for the team. Maybe I'd ride 2 horses, and then I'd fit in my own horse. So then I do training on my own.
Okay. So when you're doing your team
so you have specific lessons.
You can't use your own horse. You have to use university
you're using
horses.
Team, because that's how IHSA riding works. For anyone that maybe doesn't know exactly how it happens, is essentially it's a random draw of the horse you're competing on. They're going to put, you know, all these horses that are in the lot of what you might be riding, and you randomly, it's a random draw, and you pick this horse, and you don't know anything about this horse. You have no warm-up time. You're not allowed to. And it's an even playing field. You are walking in that ring and you're competing. So it's the only way they can kind of peel back all these other, you know, aspects that go into riding and truly make it something that's, you know, more fair and accessible for all. So we practiced on all different types of horses, all different levels, to really be able to be the best horseman and, you know, have the best equitation that you can, is through that experience of riding horses that they're not all the same. They're not all the easiest horses to ride. Sometimes they're quirky and different. But it kind of makes it fun and challenges you to be better. Did you have your
favorites?
Oh, I definitely had my favorites. But you know, I feel I got along with all of them. I'm a big fan of the horse, just of who they are as individuals. So I enjoyed learning from all of them, and you know, going through the experience, it kind of amazes me too how adjustable you can be as a rider to be able to ride a horse that maybe has its own motor and the next one's a little bit slow, and just controlling them differently.
Do you feel like it improves your skill set, because you're trying different horses 100%. And you're having to adapt so fast? So if it's your own horse, you don't really have to adapt and improve. I mean, I've never ride. I'd probably fall off in 10 seconds if I do it. But I know when I was playing golf, you play different courses. You're always having to adapt your skill set. So I can imagine if you're on a horse,
a different horse. So horses are just like people. They have individual personalities, just like another person does. So kind of being able to cater towards that horse and its specific needs, it's so cool. It's so intricate, and you're saying, okay, this horse maybe is a little slow, so you have to adapt. You have to say, okay, this turn is coming up a little bit sharp, this horse is maybe a little crooked. How can you correct him? How can you best help your teammate as this horse be successful? So the number one best way to do that is to ride different horses. So the more practice that you can get, the more adaptable, the more slick, you know, the smooth that you can get with your skill and kind of mastering this craft is the better.
So you do that in the afternoon. You're there from what, like 1 o'clock till 5 training.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you do your own.
And normally I'd have like 2 classes a day. So normally, I'd work out in the morning, go to class, ride all day, and then maybe have a 5 p.m. class. And then sometimes it'd be team yoga after that. Yeah. Just sort of depends, but.
And then it's sleep repeat.
Sleep repeat.
Yeah.
Homework, squeeze homework in somewhere.
Monday till Friday.
Oh no, it's actually 6 days a week.
Yeah, 6 days.
6 days a week. We give the horses 1 day off.
Golf is getting easier.
Yeah.
I had it way easier.
Yeah.
I thought it was tough.
No, we ride 6 days a week. The horses get 1 day off a week. We get 1 day off a week, and
the horses never get tired.
Oh, they get tired. Absolutely get tired. But then you have to be the best athlete to be able to cater that horse. What does that horse need that day? Maybe it's a little tired. You need a long warm up. Maybe it needs to stretch out. You need to. Do
you have to like feed them yourself as well? Do you have people doing that?
So from my experience at my school, no, we did not feed the horses ourselves.
But your programs are the best. What about other programs?
Other programs, I don't want to speak for the other 400 schools in there, but it's possible. I'm not sure what the other schools do, but my specific SCAD, if I'm correct, they have about 75 horses on the property. Wow. So it is an enormous operation they've got going there. So it's really not it's not a small scale school. It's not a small scale program, but they do a really great job. And one more thing I'd love to note about that too is I think SCAD does have its success, and I think it's due to the people running it. Yeah. The coaches, the staff, the teachers, our vet that we've had on staff for the past 6 years, our farrier, all these people play a very important role in keeping these horses happy and healthy. Yeah. And those happy and healthy horses perform best. Yeah. So then SCAD gets the best riders, they get the best facility, and it's sort of what came first, the chicken or the egg. But I really think it starts with those people that are behind these horses, that are behind these students, that are running this program is really what makes it stand out.
Because I don't think people appreciate how much goes into it. I think a lot of people just think, oh well, it's the stables and you send your horse over there, you go ride.
Even the horse just goes, right? You just sit on it.
You feed it and off you go. So it's like a lot that really goes into
the horses,
this running.
They get chiropractor work, they get massages, they have vibe plates, they have treadmills that they go on. These horses are athletes just as much as the person is, and I think being able to treat it like that, like I was saying, treating the sport as our team, like our workouts, what we do as a group, I think translates back, and it's proven success.
So one of the things that I've noticed with parents, especially, not so much the athletes, because they're young, vibrant, they just want to go, right? Yeah. Parents are like, how do you handle all of that? How do you, and it's not just equestrians and all sorts of sports, but it sounds like it's really like full on what you were doing, right? How do you cope with the combination of academics, riding, training, gym?
It's a lot.
Was it? Yeah.
It's a handful, but I think again, I'm not as educated in the other sports, but I think equestrian sets you up to be strict. Yeah. I think
you can't mess about and go out every night if you're doing that.
It's not for the faint of heart. I mean, it's not respectful to the horse and not respectful for your team if you're not giving it your all. Yeah. And I think that was something I sort of pushed, and maybe on some of my teammates too while I was there. Is that I want everyone to give their best, and I think you have to kind of be able to be strict with yourself and say, okay, I need to be at the barn. My lesson is now. I need to have time to warm that horse up and have respect for what you're doing. And I think you build it in, and I think everyone cares so much about what they're doing that it comes with the structure. I wanted to wake up and get my workout in, so I could get to the barn and spend 6 hours there. And it takes that long, yet it takes care of the horse. I think every time you sit on that animal, it's a privilege. So I treat it like that. And every time you swing your leg over, I'm amazed by what we're able to do, and that comes with respect. That I think comes with that balance that you got to get it done. You have to keep your grades up in order to be on our team. You have to be able to monitor all these different things. So, but it makes you strong. I mean, I'm so thankful for that opportunity. I feel like I'm a better person from it.
I've seen a bit of equestrian in Wellington.
Yeah.
I went there a few years ago, and I remember watching like how you get these horses. I don't know what you call the movements.
You might have been watching dressage.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yes,
it was. But I saw the equestrian they're jumping over.
Yep.
So I saw that. I've seen both. But the dressage, I was like, oh my god, how do you get that horse? Because I can't get my dog to sit down.
It looks like it looks like you're not even. It's the most silent communication means they're doing the best job. You want it to look like you're doing nothing. If you say it looks easy, that means we're doing a good job.
Yeah, because I can't even get my dog to sit when I want it to sit, and they can get a horse to do all it. I'm like, and that's in college as well, right? If all the different
it's all
things,
different. Yep.
Yeah.
So IHSA riding in college is they do have Western and English.
Yeah.
And I'll speak only to the English riding.
Right.
But it is all hunt seat equitation.
Right.
Is the type of riding which it's called, which means it's judged on the rider and their ability to equitate and their ability to control the horse.
Yeah.
So it's not dressage, it's not jumpers,
Right.
it's not hunters. It is specifically equitation.
Right.
So that means it's judging you and your ability to control that horse and perform the most successful test possible.
Yeah, yeah. And okay, so we've got the day in the life kind of now discovered, and it's going to be hard work by sounds things, but it's going to make you very strict. So later on, those skills are going to be very attractable, I can imagine, to companies.
100%.
And we'll get into that with you in a bit. But what's a competition like? So how often are you competing? How are you getting to these events? I know some programs you're flying in like private jets and stuff. What's it like at SCAD? How does that work with you guys?
So specifically for my experiences, we had charter buses
Right.
primarily where we would go to. So SCAD is in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
And so they competed with their region, which was about, I want to say, 15 other teams that were primarily down in Florida. So we would travel by charter bus. There was 60 people on my team, and not everyone would compete.
Yeah.
So they would take the whichever riders the coaching staff would feel is appropriate for this next team would compete. They'd travel down and you compete in your region, which might have 14, 15 other schools all competing for a point system.
Yeah.
So the team that accumulates the highest amount of points after that horse show is declared the winner.
Yeah.
For the competitions that were further away, so they were in New York or Pennsylvania, a few select riders would fly to those competitions, depending on where it is, because it's hard to get some of those places, but primarily.
Got to drive for 30 hours.
Yeah. That's not going to happen. So we do.
But what about, okay, so then the horses you're then using at your campus, are they going with you, or there's new horses at the event?
Correct. So you ride on home team's horses at your competition. So if SCAD is hosting, SCAD provides the horses. If you're going to
so you've got a real advantage.
Central Florida,
if you're
home team advantage. I guess it's the same like if you're in a stadium, your home team, you do have a home team advantage.
Yeah, I guess like golf, you get your home golf course, so it's a bit easier. But what about nationals though?
Nationals, that's a good question. It's actually people who they ask for almost, I think it's a volunteer system of who is able to bring horses. So they ask SCAD, can you please bring up 5 horses? Centenary College bring in 5 horses, Mount Holyoke 5 horses, and they're kind of creating a pot. So that's kind of how they keep it equal playing field as far as it goes to nationals.
Get whatever you're given.
And then you pull that name out and you're riding Peia today, and either it's your lucky day or it's not, and how can you adapt to it? So.
You're just like, please be the one.
Yeah, you can watch them warm up. You can watch with your eyes and see the horses go, but you can't actually do any physical warm up yourself.
Oh man, so that must be tough.
It's nerve wracking. You're waiting there for the draw, and you're just like, oh jeez, I hope it's a good one. But it makes it's a really fun experience.
Cool. And it's fair for everyone, isn't it? Everyone's got the same pick, I guess. So it's not.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, every once in a while you get thrown a curveball, but I think that's the nature of it. And some of my best memories too are saying like, that horse, I remember him. Like I'm glad that it's a good memory.
And that's what's fun about college. It just gives you these memories that you get to have forever. That's what I kind of remember. It's like all these stories of things like that.
Yeah.
Those little things make it fun.
And I would say too, like that, like I think I mentioned before too, is riding intercollegiately gave me a team for the first time.
Yeah.
I'd never had a team to compete on before, even though I've been riding since I was 7 years old, but it's always been myself. So now that I had these teammates, you work out with them, you go to the barn together, you socialize with them, you're in the same classes. I appreciated that so much, is that they're my best friends even today, is my teammates. And I think that's something cool for riders to realize, that as much as you love this sport and what you're doing now individually, having a team is such a cool opportunity. And people cheer on, like I was saying, the lower level riders mean so much, just as much as everyone else. So you kind of get into it and support everyone. It's a cool system.
And when it comes to nationals, like that obviously happens once a year, but all the competitions prior to that, how many kind of competitions are you having leading up to nationals?
Sure, I think it's individual to what region or zone you're in, but I think it's probably about 15 different competitions, and then they take the top 2 that go from zones that make it onto nationals. So it dwindles down to who's the best of the best that make it. I think it's 18 teams that make it to nationals from all over the country in Canada.
And how did your coach pick the players who are going to compete for you? Because I know in golf we have to qualify. That's how our coach did it. But I know every program's different. So like, what's traditionally how a coach and Equestrian gets the players?
Yeah, I would say traditionally it's a little bit different. And of course depends on what team you're on and how many riders you have.
Sure.
So there's 8 different divisions that you can compete on at a IHSA horse show.
Yeah.
And those range from the walk trots to the open jumping. And so you can have a rider in all of those divisions, but you can also have multiple riders. And you're each competing for points. So first place is getting a certain amount of points. Second place gets a less amount of points. And that gets tallied towards the winner. So the coach, it's up to their discretion on who they want to put in to fill that position, who you think would have the best chances of scoring the highest placing. So you want your rider to be able to go out there and hopefully win. Because they're going to score the highest amount of points for your team. But you also rank points as an individual. So every time you score a point for your team, it goes into your bank of your individual rider, and that can qualify you as an individual rider to compete at nationals yourself. So you also have the option of moving into different divisions according to point accumulation. So sometimes if you're really great and you're up there and you want to keep riding, your coach might hold you back a little bit because she knows you're very close to pointing out of a division. So she wants to save you for some of maybe the target horse shows down the road.
Got it.
So it really
strategy as well.
There's so much strategy that goes into it that people don't realize. That's not always just the best rider gets to compete. But she puts, and also you got to get different riders out there, get experience. That's the only way to learn is to go out there and do it. So.
It's a lot different. It's not different.
Yeah,
to, like,
it's not just
the sports, like basketballs and footballs.
You don't play every single time. You don't ride every single time. It's really a team sport, and when you have 60 people on your team, you're not always out there.
Got it. Okay. And I know a lot of athletes that we've helped and gone through this equestrian process. The Olympics is one of the big things that's on their mind, right? How did you see many people come through maybe your program, other programs went on to the Olympics, or? I know in other sports like basketballs and in soccer, you get a lot of athletes who go college onto the Olympics. How's it with equestrian? Do you feel like it's something that college helps them, or is it maybe not the right pathway if they want to go to?
It is not the right pathway. I'd say. Well, it could be. It's very helpful. I think it's an amazing opportunity, but I think equestrian, as far as the Olympics, athletes have a very long tenure with the sport. So athletes that are riding the Olympics could be 50 years old. Where if you're an athlete for a different sport, you're probably not at that age. Our athletes at the top stay at the top for 30 years. So there's much less turnover for these 6 top athletes in the entire country, where there's 10,000 people riding in IHSA. So the pathway to the Olympics is quite different than I would say what you're looking at college riding. But to that too, I would say that I had the honor of riding with some of the top Grand Prix young riders in the country that I learned so much from. They're out there. They're in Wellington right now, riding in Grand Prix that are the next up and coming riders that did go through the IHSA program. And there have been Olympic riders that have ridden in IHSA when their time was in college, but now they're more seasoned veterans that are out there.
Got it. So typically then, like the pathway, if you're going to go for college, is you're going to come to college to ride and maybe end up as a Grand Prix or get a job out of it. It's more of an enjoyment of the sport and using it to maybe get a scholarship to help increase your tuition, make it less of a cost, right?
Absolutely could. And then also it opens up so many more doors for you to educate yourself and become this fully well-rounded rider. When people say like, oh, do you know how to ride? Well, no one ever knows how to ride. I think you're always learning. Every time you take a step, there's something else. You're never done learning how to participate in this sport. So I think being able to soak in, like we were saying, all these different horses, all these experiences only makes you better. So having those 4 years to really compete and do something different like this, and also get your educational degree, I think is so important for these riders to have, and something you can always come back on is incredible and an experience I highly recommend.
What would you say was like the best experience of your collegiate time as a general question?
My best, I always say being with my team, having that experience and being able to grow with riders that weren't people that I'd meet before or in my level. Those riders, being able to interact with them, but I had the privilege of riding at nationals. I had the privilege of riding at a national championships my senior year, and I had an amazing experience. And that's a memory that always stands out to me.
If you could do it again, would you do it again?
Absolutely, I would go back in a heartbeat.
I feel like every athlete says that. Unless you've done it, everyone doesn't get it.
No.
It's kind of like you can talk about this and it's all great, but until you've lived it, it's like, now I get it.
Those memories stay with you, and you know, being able to pair, it's such a passion. I think people ask me too, like, that's an art school, and I think like that's strange. Why are you riding horses there? They really treat it as, like I said, it's an athletic endeavor, but it's also like a performing art. It's really a craft that we're over here perfecting. So I think they treat it just the same as if you're a singer or you're out there performing in a musical. You know, SCAD lets you perfect your art. This is a skill that you're working on. So
obviously you got the sports side of it. So let's talk about the academics. What were you doing in school? What were you studying?
Yeah, I was actually an equestrian studies major and a business entrepreneurship minor.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's some big stuff.
Yeah.
So you did more than one really thing there. Yeah. And then you graduated, and then what did you do after university?
Yeah. So after when I graduated from school, I said, okay, what do I want to do? I felt so accomplished, and I felt like SCAD granted me all these amazing opportunities to compete, and I felt in a really good place where I was riding, and I said, I want to broaden my horizons a little bit more. I want to see what else I can do. But I knew I wanted to be with horses, and I wanted to be in this area, which is what brought me down to South Florida. Yeah. I work in Wellington, which you mentioned before.
Which is like a big hub for equestrian.
It's actually the longest running horse show in the world.
Is it? I didn't know that.
It goes all winter season for 12 weeks. And so I said, this is where I need to be. I want to continue my path. So I work for a nonprofit that uses the global equestrian community to fund children's programs in developing countries.
That's awesome.
So it's a charity that gives equestrians the ability to give back.
Right, so you're using your network now in the equestrian world to help do better for the world. That's awesome stuff. Yeah, I know Wellington's a big place for the equestrian. I think
capital.
Prince Harry was down here recently. I know he was with his Meghan Markle. They down to Miami for some conference. So, and I believe he's done polo there a few times as well.
Yeah, polo's big there. Dressage, jumping. You get it's the horse capital of the world.
Shout out for Wellington. It's in the backyard where we are. Which is great, right? Okay, cool. So, what would you recommend athletes listen to? Maybe parents listen to this. What would be like your message to them? If they're thinking about this process. I always preach like start early, which sounds like you did that, right? And that's kind of why you ended up at one of the best colleges in the States for what you did. But what's your message?
My message, I would say, is communication. I think the best thing you can do is the more you know. So I would say, when people even ask me like, oh, can you help me kind of guide on this? I say, reach out. Send an email, like contact someone that can help you find these other areas. And I said, ask questions, introduce yourself, figure out, is this what I'm looking for? And then if you can answer yes to these questions, I mean, maybe nowhere is an exact perfect fit, but if you can check off most of those boxes, you're going to be in good hands. But the best thing you can do is ask questions, get your name out there, and start exploring.
Exactly. Do your research and understand, because a lot of people go, oh, I like that school. They email the coach, and we had a coach in here a couple of weeks ago, and I get all these emails. I can tell they're just like email blasting us, and it's like delete, right? So I like do your research, make sure that's the right
fit.
Make
that connection.
Have someone recommend you that they know. It's so much easier when that happens.
I completely agree, and I think I'm lucky that I was able to do that and start the conversation and say, I'm interested. Is this something? Is it a fit for you too? Is the coaching staff looking for your type of ride? Do they want you to? Do they think you'd be a good fit just as much as you feel like the school would be a fit for you? Yeah, awesome. Molly, I've really enjoyed our conversation. I think there's been a lot of good information today. You've shared with us about your experience of college and you're transitioning from high school to college to now being in the professional world. So really interesting stuff. Is there anything you want to leave with us, share before I let you get back on your horse? Before I get back on, I would just say, stick with it. The best thing you can do is just go out there and practice more, and the more you learn, the better you're going to be. So just don't give up and just keep going. Good stuff. We always fist pump the end, so awesome job. Thank you for having me. If you've enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe and feel free to share among the equestrian world. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Take care.